How did one goal cost a soccer player his life? From friendly fire to premature cardiac arrest, these athletes are certainly not immune to tragedy. Colombia is a powerhouse in world soccer, and they were among the favorites heading into the 1994 World Cup. Despite expectations, they didn't perform quite as well as everyone hoped. The squad melted down early and got knocked out of the tournament in the initial group stage. One of those defeats was to the largely unheralded American team, who beat Colombia 2-1 thanks in part to an embarrassing error by Colombian defender Andrés Escobar, who sent the ball into his own team's net accidentally. Afterwards, Escobar flew home to Medellin, Colombia. After leaving a nightclub one night about a week after the loss to the American team, he was shot and killed. The official account of his death, according to a Colombian court, was that he talked to a woman in a relationship at the club, and two men confronted him about it. As the three of them fought, the aggressor's driver shot the soccer star. Other rumors persist that Escobar's death was tied to the Colombian drug trade, which was centered in Medellin. Drug cartels had reportedly placed huge bets on Colombia's success in the World Cup, and Escobar's blunder had cost them a fortune. This theory is supported by witnesses who claim to have heard the gunman shout "Goal" each time he fired at Escobar. By age 24, Dutch baseball player Greg Halman had played for the Netherlands national team and made it to the American big leagues as an outfielder for the Seattle Mariners in 2010 and 2011. During a trip back home to the Netherlands in November 2011, he was stabbed to death in his apartment in Rotterdam by his brother Jason. The pair were living together at the time, charged with murder. Jason Halman's lawyer pleaded an insanity defense. Prosecutors and the court itself accepted the assessment of court-appointed psychiatrists who believed the defendant to be in a state of temporary psychosis brought on by the use of marijuana. He was released from prison in August 2012, agreeing to enter counseling and report to a probation officer. The Halman brothers' parents agreed with the verdict and had pushed for it. Jason's attorney reportedly said, "It is for the prosecutor an extraordinarily difficult position. He finds himself in the dilemma that a serious crime was committed, but that perpetrators and victims are on the same side. The family of Gregory, the victim, wants nothing more than Jason to be released in order not to lose two sons." During his 13-year pro basketball career, Lorenzen Wright bounced around the NBA, playing for such teams as the Los Angeles Clippers, Atlanta Hawks, and Memphis Grizzlies. Then in July 2010, about a year after he played his final NBA game, Wright mysteriously disappeared. According to his former wife, Shara, he left her Memphis home late on the evening of July 18, 2010, with a large amount of cash. She claimed that she'd overheard him tell someone on the phone he'd planned to, quote, flip something for $110,000. 10 days later, the body of the 34-year-old Wright was found in a wooded, remote area. He was located by pinging his cell phone from a 911 call he made the night of his disappearance. An autopsy revealed that he'd been shot 5 times. The case remained shrouded in mystery until 2017, when police arrested Shara Wright and a church friend, Billy Ray Turner, on murder charges. In 2019, Shara pleaded guilty to the facilitation of first-degree murder. In 2022, Turner was found guilty of first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and conspiracy. Reportedly, the jury did not take long to rule.
It took about 2 hours, and the main headline again, the man accused of killing Lorenzen Wright found guilty by a jury on all 3 counts.
From 1984 to 1994, Ivan Calderon played 10 seasons of Major League Baseball. The veteran player performed outfielding duties for the Seattle Mariners, Chicago White Sox, Boston Red Sox, and Montreal Expos. An all-star selection in 1991, he retired with career totals of 104 home runs and 444 runs batted in. After his playing days ended, Calderon moved back to his birthplace of Puerto Rico and lived in the northern city of Loíza, which is where he was shot and killed in December 2003. According to police, he was in a bar when 2 men silently entered, approached the former ballplayer, and shot him. Calderon's death was reportedly a revenge killing for a different murder allegedly committed by his son. Police were led to believe that members of a drug-running Puerto Rican gang had told Calderon to reveal the whereabouts of his 18-year-old son, who they thought killed one of their members, if he didn't comply and allow his son to be murdered. Calderon himself would pay with his own life. As of 2022, the crime remains unsolved. Zeke Upshaw was a promising basketball player who never quite made it to the NBA. He played college ball for 2 Division I schools, Illinois State and Hofstra University. before turning pro and joining leagues in Slovenia and Luxembourg. In 2016, he returned to the United States and declared himself eligible for the G League draft. The Detroit Pistons affiliate Grand Rapids Drive selected him in the 4th round, with plans to develop his talent until he was ready for the NBA. Unfortunately, that big-time debut would never arrive. Toward the conclusion of a game in Grand Rapids in March 2018, Upshaw collapsed on the court. 2 days later, he died at a nearby hospital at the age of 26. His mother, Jewel, then filed a wrongful death lawsuit with the NBA, Detroit Pistons, and the companies that operate the Grand Rapids Drive. The suit alleged that medical staff hadn't been properly trained, and as a result, they hadn't recognized or properly treated Upshaw's ultimately fatal cardiac arrest. Video of the collapse shows that nearly a minute passes before anyone recognizes the emergency, and a heart issue was not detected in 2 preseason physicals by the Drive. The suit was settled for an undisclosed sum in 2019.
Our team had come together and been playing for each other, and there's no guy more important to that process than Zeke Upshaw.
Born in Korea in 1924, Kim San-rak would eventually become known as the father of pro res, or Japanese professional wrestling, thanks to his accomplishments in the ring under the name Rikidōzan, the wrestling icon whose name translates to Rugged Mountain Road. He helped to popularize highly theatrical American-style pro wrestling in Japan. One evening in December 1963, Rikidōzan went out drinking at the New Latin Quarter Club in Tokyo. There are conflicting accounts of what actually happened, but the official report states that he'd been speaking with a woman near the men's room when Yakuza, criminal organization affiliate Katsushi Murata, grazed the wrestler as he walked by. However, Rikidōzan didn't see it that way, claiming that Murata had stepped on his foot. Murata tried to de-escalate the situation, but the intoxicated Rikidōzan responded with violence, attacking and repeatedly striking the other man. Murata, who a year earlier had gotten in a fight with another wrestler and nearly died from his injuries, didn't hesitate to take out a large knife and stab Rikidōzan in his abdomen until his pummeling stopped. In an attempt to avoid attention, Rikidōzan quietly checked himself into an obstetrics hospital, where doctors diagnosed 4 piercing wounds in his intestine. He had surgery and was expected to make a full recovery, but alas, he did not. On December 15, 1963, the stab wound led to internal hemorrhaging and peritonitis, killing Rikidōzan at the age of 39. Erica Blasberg was a standout on the amateur, college, and professional golf circuits. She was a quarterfinalist in the 2000 U.S. Girls Junior Tournament and a 2-time All-American. Following a spot on the American Curtis Cup squad, she joined the Ladies Professional Golf Association. Tragically, in May 2010, the 25-year-old Blasberg was found dead at her home in Henderson, Nevada. There were no immediate signs of trauma, struggle, or illness. About a month later, the Clark County Coroner's Office ruled the cause of death to be suicide. Blasberg had fatal levels of prescription-grade cough, pain, anti-anxiety, and headache medicines in her system at the time of her death, and she asphyxiated.
What didn't we know about your sweet daughter?
Oh, Erica, I mean, it's just hard to...
While the coroner's report indicated a lack of murderous intent, area police still issued an arrest warrant for Dr. Thomas Hess. He reportedly spoke with Blasberg the evening before her death, and on the day her remains were found, he called 911 from the golfer's home. A prescription written by Hess was found among Blasberg's effects, but she hadn't been seeing him for medical treatment. Police filed charges of obstruction of justice because of how they believed he tampered with the crime scene in Blasberg's home before police could investigate the death. Hess pled guilty to that charge and later faced a wrongful death lawsuit from the golfer's parents. Arturo Gatti was a boxing juggernaut. Across the span of his 16-year career, he attained a win-loss record 40-9 in 2 weight classes, accomplishing more than 3/4 of his wins by knockout. He slowed down for a while, eventually attempting a comeback in 2007, though he lost by TKO. After that, he said he was done with fighting. Just 2 years later, he was gone forever. In July 2009, the body of the 37-year-old Gatti was found hanging in his room at a Brazilian resort. Post-mortem tests indicated moderate amounts of alcohol and muscle relaxants in his system. Initially, Gotti's wife, Amanda Rodriguez, was charged with murder, primarily owing to a bloodstain on her purse and the fact that police didn't buy her explanation that she'd been in the same room with Gatti for 10 hours and didn't know he was dead. Lacking enough crucial evidence, police released Rodriguez. and Gotti's cause of death was officially changed from homicide to suicide. Private investigators have since challenged that conclusion, and a separate investigation by a Quebec coroner failed to produce definitive answers. If you or anyone you know is having suicidal thoughts, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK 8255.